Hello children, hope you're safe, healthy and happy at home. Welcome to today's English class. In the previous class, we had learnt about poem. We had tried to understand the literary devices and also the first poem in your syllabus, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Dear children, by this time you might have understood the various literary devices used by the poets to make the poem more interesting, and you might also have tried to understand the theme and message of the poem by reading it at home. Dear children, as I had told you before also, reading of the NCERT text again and again is a must for you, because more reading gives you the skill of understanding the poem in a better manner and also to enjoy the meaning or the message that has been conveyed to us. Today I will be discussing 2 or 3 more literary devices, as in the last class we could not discuss all of them. Today I will be discussing 2-3 devices which are again there in your poem and they have been used by the poets, so it will be useful for you. So let's children go back to the first poem, The Road Not Taken. If you have your textbooks at home, please open them, and also you can keep your notebook and pen ready to note down the points. And if you don't have the textbook, you can click a picture with your mobile or even note down the points, which will help you to comprehend and understand the poem later on. Page number 15 of your NCERT textbook, the first poem, The Road Not Taken. Before I move into the literary devices that have been used in this poem, let's discuss some more literary devices. Anaphora. Anaphora is a word that has been used with 2 or more consecutive lines by the poet to stress upon the meaning of it. For example, let us look into the textbook where you have 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could. So children, if you notice, and has been used in all the 3 lines, beginning of all the 3 lines. The 3 lines begin with the word end. That means lines 2, 3 and 4 begin with the word and. Okay, and sorry, and be one traveller, and look down. Okay, so 3 lines begin with the word and. So this particular poetic device is known as anaphora. Okay, in the same way, if you see lines 6, 7 and 8. So children, let me once again make it clear what anaphora in a poem means. It means when a word is repeated in 2 or more consecutive lines in the beginning. Just like we saw in the poem The Road Not Taken, the word and was repeated in lines 2, 3 and 4, and the lines began with the word and. So this particular device is known as anaphora. Now, symbolism. Okay, symbolism is when one thing means something else or some other thing, right? It symbolizes something else. For example, in the poem Road Not Taken, road is a symbol of life, right? Road is a symbol of life, Now, how road is a symbol of life? It symbolizes the various choices which we make in our life. In our life, we get lot of opportunities to make choices, and when we make choice, we have to make it in a wise manner, and we need to be really very careful while making the choices. So here road is a symbol of life. And one more thing I wanted to discuss with you is so many poets, while writing poems, use a particular rhyme scheme to give a proper rhythm to the poem and make it more interesting. So now let's try to understand what is a rhyme scheme through this poem. For example, in the poem The Road Not Taken, if you are looking into your textbook, let's look at the first stanza and let's look at the rhyming word. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. So let's take the last words. Wood, both, stood, could, and undergrowth. Okay, so you have to look at the rhyming words used by the poet in order to find out the rhyme scheme of the poem. So here this word is pronounced as wood. Okay, so we will write here A. Both. Okay, are wood and both rhyming words? No, they aren't. They have different sounds. So both we will write B, right? And now stood, right? Stood rhymes with wood. Wood, stood. Both of them are rhyming words. So here wood was A. So again for stood also we write A. The next word is could. Okay. Could again rhymes with stood. Would, stood, could. So we had used A for wood. So all the words which sounds the same, we will be using the same word, same letter A. So again we'll write here A. And undergrowth. Both, growth. So these two words rhyme with each other. So here we will write B. Okay. So now the first four lines, the rhyme scheme would be A, B, A, B. Right? A, B, A, B. So if you look at the other stanzas of the first poem, The Road Not Taken, all the stanzas have the same rhyme scheme, A, B, A, B. Right? So, dear children, I hope you understood how to find out the rhyme scheme in a poem. So now let's go back to the theme of the poem The Road Not Taken. As I told you, the road is a symbol. It symbolizes the choices we make in our life, and the poet was talking about two roads which diverged in a yellow wood, and he was not able to decide initially which road he must take, and finally he decided to take the less traveled one. And as we know that the poet was adventurous and he wanted to do something new which many people have not done, though after walking in that path which he had chosen, he found both the roads equal and both the roads were the same for him. But once he was on his path, he could not come back and take the second road. That's why in the end of the poem he regrets that maybe he should have taken the first road, because he knew that one road leads to other road, or one opportunity leads to so many other opportunities. So once we have made a choice in our life, we cannot come back and take another or make another choice and move ahead. So we need to be really careful while we are making a decision. So this was the first poem of your syllabus, The Road Not Taken. Hope while we discussed the poetic devices and the theme and the message conveyed by the poem, and we had also discussed some of the word meanings, difficult words which were there in the poem. So I request you to read the poem again and again, try to understand it in a better way, and try to answer the questions that are given at the back of your textbook, so that you will be able to answer the questions of your CBSE question paper. And I told you that this year you have in the initial stanza you have 2 questions of 2 marks each. Therefore you need to understand the poem well. And also I told you that you have 2 more questions of 2 marks which you have to answer in about 30 to 40 words. So dear children, today I'll be teaching you the second poem of your syllabus, that is Wind by the famous Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati. Originally this poem was written in Tamil, which was later translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan. Why I have chosen the second poem also for you today is, this is also again a very interesting poem like The Road Not Taken. So to begin with, if you try to understand or read these 2 poems, it will be interesting for you, as both the poems have a very beautiful theme and a very strong message for us to understand. So this poem I have chosen for you. So let's try to learn the second poem also and try to understand it, and also try to find what literary devices have been used in this poem. Dear children, if you are having your textbooks with you, please look at page 30, poem number 2, Wind by the famous Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati. Let's look at stanza 1. If you don't have your textbook, please look at the screen and also try to take a picture of the stanzas, so that later on you can sit and read and try to understand. Stanza 1. Wind comes softly, don't break the shutters of the windows, don't scatter the papers, don't throw down the books on the shelf. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Children, let's look at the word meanings which you might find difficult. Poking fun means making fun of something or someone. Weaklings means a person who is weak. Scatter, throw in various directions. Let's now go back to the first stanza. Now in the first stanza, or I would like to say the initial part of the poem, the poet is considering the wind as a child and asks the wind to come very softly, just like a small child does, and also asks the wind not to break the shutters of the windows, and not to scatter the papers, and not to throw down the book on the shelf. And also the poet is telling the wind that he has brought everything down. He has torn the pages of the books, and he has brought rain again. And the wind is also trying to make fun of the people who are weak. Dear children, let's try to understand what the first stanza talks about. The poet is talking to the wind, and he is trying to tell him that he is very destructive. He brings lot of destruction, and he has put everything down. the shutters, the papers and the books on the shelf, everything he has scattered here and there. So the wind is so powerful. The poet is talking about the power of the wind and says that you are so strong that you have brought rain again. And the poet is also telling that when the wind blows strongly, so it brings down all those things which are weak. Even the people who are weak, they are easily broken away by the wind. Dear children, let's go to the second stanza. Frail crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. Now let's look at some of the word meanings. Crumbling. Crumbling means falling or to cause something to break. Rafter. Rafter means sloping beam which support the roof of the building. Winnows. Winnows means separate grain from husks by blowing on it. Frail. Frail means weak. Now let's go back to the second stanza and try to understand. Frail crumbling houses. Here, as I told you, crumbling means what? To break everything, to break down. Frail means weak. Here the poet is telling the wind that when the wind blows strongly, the weak houses, the houses which are not strong, the weak doors, the weak rafters. Rafters means the beams which support the roof of the house. So if the wind is very strong, it also brings down the rafters. It breaks everything, breaks the wooden houses, breaks the bodies. That means people who are weak also break. Not only the people, the animals, all kinds of lives, weak hearts, everything breaks. So here the poet is trying to tell that weak things are broken down easily by strong winds. And here the poet is also calling the wind as God. And he says that the wind god winnows and crushes them all. Here winnows means when we winnow the wheat to separate the grain from the chaff. Dear children, here the poet is also comparing the wheat and people. How? Here the grain is separated from the chaff. In the same way, the wind is also separating the weak people and the strong people. People who are very strong, they overcome all the problems and challenges in their life. But if they are weak, then they break down very easily, just like we saw in the second stanza. When the wind blew very strongly, it broke down everything, the houses, doors, rafters, wooden houses, and even weak people. Even it could be small plants, or maybe sometimes large trees also fall down when strong winds blow. We have seen many a times during cyclone, isn't it? Now also we have a cyclonic warning for our islands. So weak people, weak things, even small kids, small children, they get scared when strong wind blows. They can even fall down and get hurt. So we need to be very strong in order to overcome all the challenges of our life. Let's go to stanza 3. He won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Practice to form the body. Make the heart steadfast. Do this and the wind will be friends with us. Dear children, here the poet gives us lot of methods of making us strong and firm in order to overcome all the challenges. Here in this poem, the poet is asking us to form our homes, to build strong doors and strong homes so that the wind does not enter our house. And also we need to become more strong, more firm, more determined, and be more steadfast. Right? Let's be more strong, let's become more firm so that the wind cannot destroy us. Wind cannot destroy our homes. Wind cannot break down any things. Okay, so here the poet is asking us to be strong. He is also talking about the preparedness, right? If we are prepared for overcoming any challenges or facing any challenges, then everything will become easy for us. We will not be scared of challenges. They won't appear to us as a danger. We can easily overcome them if we are prepared. Dear children, we can take the example of COVID-19 pandemic, coronavirus pandemic. Now we are trying to fight this very dangerous disease. You know, we are taking lot of measures. The government is doing lot of things for us to be prepared to fight this disease and overcome of this pandemic, to come out of this disease very strongly. Okay, so the government is preparing us in every possible way. So we are also preparing ourselves, isn't it? So in the same way, the poet is asking us to be prepared, to be strong, so that the challenges cannot make us weak, and we will remain strong and face boldly the challenges and problems of our life. Let's look at some of the word meanings. Here I believe there is only one word which would be difficult for you, that is steadfast, which means to be firm and to be determined. Now let's go to the last stanza. Stanza 4. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. Dear children, in the last stanza, the poet is trying to tell us that wind is like a god. We need to make friend with the wind. That means we need to make friends with our challenges and problems. And since the poet is calling the wind as God, we need to praise him every day. Isn't it? We should not be sad always, right? That why only in my life? Why only with me? Why I'm facing this problem? Why these challenges in my life? So if we are prepared, then we will learn to praise the challenges, like the poet is praising the wind god. He says we praise the wind god every day, so that we are prepared to face the challenges given by the wind in a bold manner. Dear children, let's try to look at some of the words which you would find difficult. Flourish. Flourish means to grow. Roar, a loud, deep noise. Now let's go back to the stanza once again. The wind blows out weak fires. That means when the wind blows very heavily, what does it put out? The fire which is weak, right? Which is, the flame is very slow, very weak. So the strong wind will easily blow off that fire. But the strong fires, you might have seen fires, you know, with roars and growing more, you know, with the wind it grows more with the roaring sound, and it flourishes. So the wind can do nothing to the roaring and flourishing strong fire. and he says his friendship is good, and therefore we praise him every day. So I hope children the poem is clear to you. Now let's look at the literary devices used in the poem. The first literary device is personification. As I had told you before, what is personification? It is giving life to inanimate things, okay, non-living things, giving life to it as though they are human beings, okay, to make the poem more lovely. Here the wind has been personified. When the poet says you are, the poet is talking to the wind as though the wind is a person. See what you have done. You have brought the papers down, you have scattered them. So when the poet says you, that is, it means the wind has been personified here. The poet is talking to the wind as though he is a person. Repetition. The word crumbling has been repeated many times. So why crumbling has been repeated? The poet wants to say that the wind is very destructive and it crushes everything that is weak. So that is why he repeats the word crumbling. So this poetic device is repetition. Alliteration. I told you before that alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound in the same line, okay, letters which begin with the same sound in a same line, okay. We'll look at it. For example, wind, winnows. The sound w has been repeated here. Won't, want. Again the sound w has been repeated. Dear children, today when I began the lesson, I spoke to you about symbolism. In this poem, the wind has been symbolized. The wind is a symbol of life. The wind symbolizes the adversities in our life. Adversities means the problem and challenges in our life. And there is no rhyme scheme in this poem. If you read the poem again, unlike the first poem, The Road Not Taken, which had a particular rhyme scheme, there is no rhyme scheme in this poem. Some poets wish not to use any rhyme scheme. But the poem is very beautiful in itself. It is written in free verse. The poet has written the poem very freely, and as I told you, Subramanya Bharati is a very famous poet who had also played an important role during our freedom struggle, writing a lot of patriotic poems. So let's go back to symbolism. The wind is a symbol of adversities of our life. So the poem contains a very beautiful message, that is, we must be physically and mentally strong so that we can overcome any challenges that we face in our life. So I hope you have understood the poem and also the literary devices, and we have also discussed the difficult words from the poem. Now if you reread the poem, it will be easier for you to understand how beautiful the poem is, what a beautiful message it contains. And then please try to look at the questions given at the back of the poem and try to answer them in your notebook, and try to answer the questions in 30 to 40 words this time. Practice it right from the beginning. And dear children, since today you have learnt rhyme scheme also, how to use rhyming words in a poem to give a rhythm to the poem, you can also start writing your own poems. You can start with writing simple poem, 4 lines, 8 lines, using rhyming word. This is a best time for you to develop your writing skills, and you can write poem on any theme, about nature, about any personal theme, about your mother, about your home, about your studies, anything about your school. You can take any theme and start writing poem also. Once you start writing small poems, your writing skills also develop, and also your skill of appreciating the poem grows. So I hope children, you will start developing your writing skills and also the skill of imagination and appreciation, and learn the first 2 poems in a better way. So, dear children, stay at home, stay safe, stay happy.